Batchack Peacemakers is directed by Keon Brong and stars Keon Brong, Aaliyah De Watley, Sydney Ledger, JD Entertainer, and Malik Topen, just to name a few. And it continues the adventures of the titular hero as he comes up against new enemies and old alike. But as they say, the only constant is change, as we see Batchack possibly having to team up with an old foe to take on a new one. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope here's to everyone having a much better 2022 than the past, let's say, 3 years. I'm throwing in 3 of the insanity we've been having. You know, it's a slow road to recovery, but if everybody does their part, whether that part is big or small, I know things are gonna get better. That said, I decided my first review for the new year, even though I have seen Matrix Resurrections, which I will get to, is going to be one that was created right here in my home country. One that I've always heard things about, but I've never seen it before this. And this is a television series that is an offshoot of the movie created by the same person, Keon Brong. Let's talk about Batchack, specifically Batchack Peacemakers. And for those of you who are not Trinidadian, not from the Caribbean, and not an ants fanatic, you're probably wondering what the hell is a Batchack. Guys, basically it's an ant. It's kind of like a fire ant, but not as vicious, but it is a bigger ant, and it's something that we come across here in Trinidad. And so we have a superhero whose powers are based around an ant or a Batchack. You know, why not? If a guy can get bitten by a radioactive spider, why not an ant with supernatural powers? And this takes me into, this is episode 1 for the series Peacemakers. Now I'll start by saying I have not seen the movie, but a good friend of mine, Julian Neves, over at Red Mango Reviews, I will put a link to his written review on this and the movie. He sings praises to this film, and it's because of one of those it's so bad it's good type things going on here. You know, we all have those movies that we love because it's just so insanely weird, and you know, and it's not the best that you've seen, but it just somehow, the passion the creators have for their story and for what they're trying to do, it somehow overwhelms the bad stuff to the point where you're like, you know what, I really like this movie. I genuinely like this movie. So now we have a television series, and like I said, I checked out the first episode. The opening I absolutely loved. The opening is strong. You do get a sense very quickly of Batchack I should say his origins, you know, especially if you haven't seen the movie like myself and you have no idea who this guy is. So they do this really nice, and the cinematography, everything is really nice here. They do this opening where they give us the origins of Batchack, and I, for one, really liked it. I didn't expect it. I thought it was just going to be a straightforward, you know, this dude gets bitten by magical ants, yada, yada, yada. There's actually a lot more backstory here about the lore and folklore and all of that, our local folklore. And I like that. I'm always very pumped for when people tap into our folklore here in Trinidad and Tobago, because I feel like we have such rich folklore. And it only pops up here and there in some international stuff, but it just doesn't get the love it deserves. So we open on a guy who is getting his exercise on, and after a phone call is dispatched in a very awesome way. And here we see the world start to expand a bit here and include, for those who have been following along with the Vil Ventures universe, we see Aaliyah Watley, who originally is in the television series Blackland. She still is doing some awesome, I thought it looked really good, guys. It looked believable, at least, you know. She dispatches some people in a very awesome manner. I thought the directing there was nice. The use of sound design and stuff. And overall, I really think the opening is quite strong, and it definitely pulled me into what is going on here. We also have this universe, by the way. It's going to include the universe of Vilventures, what Vilventures is creating with Magnolia. There is a shout out here to her as well, and I thought that was pretty good too, because I mean it tends to make sense when you think about it. It's all in the Caribbean. It's our version of the MCU Universe of Heroes. It's the Caribbean Universe of Heroes. So why not include Batchack Man and maybe have him team up with Magnolia sometime in the future? So that little scene there and the way they did it, I kind of dig that. I like that. Going forward, there are a bunch of characters introduced, and this is where things got a little bit shaky for me, in the sense that each scene works for me in different ways. The acting is not the strongest by everyone involved, but each scene is quite intriguing because it adds a little bit more to what's going on in this world. I do like some of the costume choices here, the mask and so forth. Batchack Man wears this type of luchador mask, and I think for the most part it works. Hopefully we'll see more of a bodysuit thing to go along with it, but I really dig the mask. Yeah, like I was saying, each of the plot threads, I think they work, but the problem being for me is if you haven't seen the movie, you're not gonna know who some of these characters are. And this episode, they assume that you know that you've seen the film. Now, on one hand, it's a good thing because it will make you want to seek out the movie to check it out. Maybe it'll end up on your guilty pleasures list, but it does make you want to know more because they have this character. I believe he's called the OH, or the original herbalist. I didn't come up with it, guys. Like I said, this is a bit crazy. But yeah, they have this character. I didn't know who he was. I had to look him up. I had to look up the story of exactly why is he here and what involvement he has with Batchack Man. How does he know who he is and that sort of thing. His secret identity, which I don't think we got a name for yet, but we do see him out of costume, so to speak, and he is being portrayed by the director and writer. Yeah. It is, I mean, to assume that everyone has seen the movie and will know who these characters are, I think they should have tried to just give us a bit more of who these people are on the small screen. So you don't have to go looking like I did for more information, you know, that would have been great. But like I said, the pieces, it's intriguing, and of course my personal favorite new supervillain. I'm really loving this lady. Sydney Ledger is here as Paralysis. Now she is also in Magnolia, but where I first met, I shouldn't say met, but first was introduced to this actress is in After the Apocalypse, and she was so awesome there. I was like instantly on board with everything else she's doing. Unfortunately, she doesn't do much here. It's just a very quick scene, an introduction, so to speak. But like I said, I think what they're trying to do with this episode is build upon the existing universe with Magnolia and these heroes and these villains, and kind of bring the two together. Unfortunately, I struggled with following that narrative here because it just felt like I was getting information thrown at me that assumed I already knew certain things. And I really wish that it would have, you know, just unfolded a bit more on this small screen as opposed to, you know, me having to have seen the movie. That said, I had fun with this. Yes, some of the acting is rough, but I think it's well shot. I think that the short fight sequence we got, it was short, but I thought it was well directed and well choreographed, and I want to see more of that. And I'm definitely intrigued by this world and the villains. There was this guy, I'm trying to remember his name. I think he's called the Maharaj, with his creepy, played by JD Entertainer. He had this creepy thing he would do where he'd lick his lips, and I was instantly like, yes, give me more of this cheese, please. I want more of this guy. So there's a lot here that I find appealing and I want to see more. But I'm just hoping that they stick the narrative a little better. The story itself is a bit of a lot of elements that you just don't know exactly who is who, what is happening, because you didn't see the past information, so you're not aware of what's happening in the present. At least that's how it was for me. I hope going forward they focus more on giving us new information and information we can easily follow, as opposed to assuming that everyone knows everything about Batchack Man and the world that he lives in. That said, guys, I did like this episode. I was smiling nearly all through it. I wanted to see more of these people, crazy Russian accents and all. I think there's something quite special here, and I recommend checking it out. So if something like Batchack Man sounds like a lot of fun to you, definitely check out Batchack Man Peacemakers episode 1. For now, I'm gonna give this one a 5 out of 10, but it's a 5 out of 10 where I'm like, I want to see more of this. So definitely check it out. And that's going to be it for this one, guys. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please feel free to hit like on this video. If you're new and you'd like to subscribe to my channel, you can click on my face when it pops up right about there, and you can check out past reviews of our local superhero content right on this side. So until the next one, guys, bye bye.